What is up, watch friends? Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. I'm Tony. This is Paco. You know him. He likes to crash videos. Don't you, Paco? Good boy. Say hello. Look at you. Look at you. You see that? Good boy. Um, Today's Friday, so it's Q&A day. And for those of you who might be new subscribers or you don't know, then every Friday we do a Q&A. So just all you have to do to participate is leave your question in the comments below. I will read it and we'll do it in the Q&A. So pretty simple. We do this again, like I say, every Friday. We've been doing it for a long time now at this point. So today I am wearing my Swatch Snoopy. Great summer wear watch, you know, and I don't wear my Swatch watches enough. Also reminds me not to take the watch shit too seriously. I get a lot of, I don't know, it boggles my mind how serious some of you people are. Not you regular viewers that comment, but some of the people that I don't know where they come from. Honestly, their mom's basement. Anyway, let's roll the intro and we'll get into the Q&A. All right, so this question comes from Metagirl. Can you talk a little about the significance of watch company that buys a movement versus creates their own? And two, can you talk about the significance of a watch company that builds a watch by hand versus machine made, specifically quality involved? I could. Well, a lot of companies that even make their own movements buy other movements. You know, Patek Philippe uses JLC movements. They've been known to use JLC movements. They do also make their own movements. A lot of other brands do that as well. Cartier makes their own movements, but then they'll put like a Solita movement in a $9,000 watch, and it just boggles my mind why they would do that. But I think some companies, they want something that's going to fit for that particular watch. They might not have a movement that they've made that would work for that watch. If they're just a general company that uses, say, Solita or Etta movements, because there's plenty of them, then the significance is that they shouldn't, for one, charge as much as some of these companies do for watches with Etta movements or Solita movements. Like Hublot was known for having a $300 Etta movement in one of their watches and charging like $30,000 for it. It was just things like that. Are there when it comes down to it, then if another company that doesn't make their own movements, that's, say, a popular brand that are just using other people's movements, are they considered a watchmaker? Well, they're not a manufacturer. So there's a difference between, watchmaking and being a watch manufacturer. A manufacturer actually makes their parts in-house for the most part. What a lot of companies will do is like just take any of them, Breitling, IWC. They'll get a movement from, say, Etta, and then they'll modify it, and they'll put different parts in it, and they'll modify it to their specs. And then they claim it's their in-house movement, when a lot of times really it's just an Etta movement, Etta base. I believe that more than 50% of, actually, I'm not going to go there. There's a lot of controversy in this, and there's nothing wrong with Etta or Solita movements. They are good movements, but it's just, again, I prefer a company that will primarily be in-house, you know what I mean, which is called a manufacturer. They manufacture their own calibers and their own parts, you know what I mean. A lot of companies are manufacturers, and they, for instance, don't make the hairsprings, so they buy the hairsprings from companies like Beauvais, for instance. And and other companies do this too. Companies like Nomos make their own hairspring. It's a very, very difficult process to do, and it's very difficult to learn how to do that, as simple as it may seem when you look at the balance wheel. So again, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a fine line. There's a fine line within Swiss watchmaking altogether on some points. Can you talk about the significance of a watch company that builds watches by hand versus machine made, specifically quality involved? Yeah, let's take Rolex for example. Rolex is primarily all automated. It's all machine made. You know, I mean, hands do touch those watches, but for the most part, it's all machine made. So what you get from machine made is you've got accuracy. You've got, you know, absolute perfection almost every single time. Again, then going back to the movements, they manufacture their movements to within, you know, once it's all tested and said and done, +2 -2 seconds a day. Actually, the most reliable and you know, as far as timekeeping, they're extremely accurate, you know. But as far as the quality, yeah, they're really good. Are they hand polished or are they machine polished, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that either, you know. You can't make over 1 million watches a year with just a couple guys sitting, you know, in a watch, you know, making booth, you know what I mean? Go, oh, it just can't get through this $1 million of millions of watches, you know, things like that. But you know, but if then you take a company like Vacheron Constantin or Patek or Breguet, you know, where the cases are molded, the lugs are made separately and then welded on and then polished into the case to make it, you know, look like it's all like one thing. The polishing is hand polished. Guilloche on the dial, for instance, take a Rolex 1908. That dial is stamped, I believe. Audemars Piguet on the code has this beautiful pattern in it, but it's stamped. It's not guillocheed by hand. Whereas if you take a lot of, say, for instance, Vacheron, Patek, and Breguet, for instance, all of that is by hand. These machines that you wind them, and it does the guilloche. If you've seen them, it's hard to explain. But so there's a lot to it. And the prestige in all handmade watches are just that. You know, you've got a lot of these companies that are the high horology brands have one watchmaker that starts that watch and completes that watch from beginning to end. Not all of them, but some of them do. And it's nice to know that you've got one guy or just maybe a few people that have, you know, meticulously put that thing together, meticulously decorated that case or the movement, meticulously decorated that dial, meticulously polished that watch. And then look what it comes out. It's like a work of art, you know? I wouldn't say any Rolex is a work of art. I'd say it's a machine-made watch, and they're cool. But, you know, it's not like, you know, old school horology, you know? Anyway, long answer to a short question. Thanks for your question. Next question. IXOXO Asia. Asia, what's up? How are you? Good to hear from you. Congratulations, Tony. Great video. Thanks. You're talking about the Daytona. I'm looking into getting a Cartier Santos, but I want it in the small size. Since the small size is vintage now, do you have any places you would recommend? The small Santos, the Galby, is that the one you're talking about? And have you thought about a Panther? I mean, similar, but not the same, I know. I don't have any specific one place, you know. I mean, I have a place that if I was looking for a vintage watch, I'd go into Toluca Lake called Generali's and Generali's. If you want to try to give them a call, ask for Peter. Well, you can ask for anyone, actually. Just say that Tony Gamble referred you. Generali's and Generali's in Toluca Lake, but they don't have a lot of watches. They do have, you know, they do have some vintage watches. Like, for instance, I hosted an event there a little over a year ago, and someone came in and bought a vintage, can't remember if it was a tank. I think it was a tank. And so they sometimes get these watches. If not, then I would recommend the usual suspects, places like the 1916 company. Check out, see what they got. There's a guy from 1916. His name's Max. I know that dude, but I can't put his phone number out. Bob's Watches. They're in Southern California here. You know, they're more expensive for things, but at the same time, you're buying authenticity and peace of mind with them. Swiss Watch Expo, another one. Tourneau. You want anything reputable online. If you go to Chrono24, type in what you're looking for, and then just really narrow it down to US only. I wouldn't buy something from any other country. Just, you don't know what's been done to that watch or what that watch is. And then you can check to see if it's sold by a dealer, and that's what I would do. I'd buy it from a dealer. Then you can contact that dealer and get a little more information from them, you know. So I wish you the best of luck on that one. All right. Thanks for your question, Asia. All right, this is from PQ19476. Hey, Tony, I have a vintage silver stick Datejust. It's in mint condition from 1989, but it seems kind of tough to wind. And by that, I mean a bit more effort than, say, a Tudor or a newer Rolex. Is this common? It was serviced when I bought it, apparently, but thinking about taking it to a watchmaker or Rolex. Let me know your thoughts. Is it common? I don't think so. Well, it's 1989. You know, it's pretty old, man. And then you say it was serviced, but when was it serviced? When did you buy it? When was it really serviced? You know what I mean? I would take it to get checked out. Sure, it doesn't hurt, you know. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would take it to get it checked out, especially older vintage Rolex like that. You want to make sure it's all solid and everything's that's not been Frankensteined at all. You know what I mean? So just get it checked out. Thanks for your question, dude. This comes from Christian B4517. Hey Tony, love your channel and content. I always look forward to your Friday Q&A. I bought a 2022 Rolex sub non-date from eBay last year. I now have the opportunity to get a new Rolex sub with the green bezel directly from my AD. Should I sell my Rolex non-date? It's a classy look, but I can't afford to have two subs. By the way, my tablet just started talking to me for some unknown reason. I'm sorry. Should I sell my Rolex non-date? It's a classy look, but I can't afford to have two subs. By the way, I built a great relationship with my AD here in Georgia, and this will be my third Rolex in 2 years. My first was a 41 millimeter Wimbledon two-tone yellow gold and a GMT Batman. Congratulations on those, man. And you bought a no-date, a regular Submariner from eBay, and now you're offered a sub with a green bezel. Is that the Starbucks? It's up to you. You know what I mean? You've got a GMT Batman with a date. You've got a Wimbledon with a date. Now you're going to get a sub green bezel with a date, and you've got a no date sub. You know, so I'd say mix it up. And have a little bit of, I would say keep the sub. If you didn't have these other watches, I'd say sell that one and get the green one. You know what I mean? Why not? Because you're getting it brand new from your AD. You're getting that 5-year warranty, or you have a 5-year warranty. So, and you're not going to have any issues with it. So, but it's up to you. So I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for your question, man. This is from FJ7509. I've got a question for your Q&A, but think I know the answer. Is Rolex your favorite watch brand? Hope to hear your response, and wishing you many years of better health to wear your Daytona. Thanks, man. It's so funny because I remember some guy commented below that, wear it in bad health too, So probably didn't mean anything by it. Is Rolex my favorite brand? Yes, for the most part they are, because they've got a long history with me. I've been into Rolex watches for well over 30 years, and I've had so many of them, And I love them. I love them. Cartier was my number 2 brand, but now they're probably slipping to number 3. And I talk about this when I say my favorite brand, because really my favorite brands are Vacheron, Patek, then Rolex. But I'm not counting the high horology brands right now. You know what I mean? I'm just counting as, but Rolex has more significance to me with my childhood and growing up, even more so than what Vacheron or Patek does. But I think so. They're easy wear watches. You can wear them anywhere, except the Daytona, man. The Daytona is not legible. I don't know, if you don't have good eyes, don't get it. But it's one of those things that for the most part, Rolex are they're just easy watches. You know what I mean? They're great watches. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for your question, dude. Appreciate it. Michael Saraceno, I have a question that's not Daytona related. Right on. I saw a video you posted about a year ago on the Santos de Cartier and how some of the pins in the buckle would occasionally pop out. I'm curious if that was an isolated issue, and do you have similar problems with your new Santos? Congratulations again on your Daytona. What he's talking about is in the bracelet. I don't have it here, but in the bracelet, to remove links on the inside, just like this. These are like, just say these are rubber, but say these are links. There's a pin that goes in each one, and there's a little button you can press, and there's a tool to do it too. You can do it with your fingers too, and it pops that pin out. You can pull that pin out. It won't come out all the way. It stops. And then you can take the bracelet out and size it. It's the easiest thing. It's freaking great system. And with my original Santos I bought a couple years ago, the pins kept popping out of them, you know? And you have to make sure they're pushed in. And you can use that tool, but they just have to be pushed in. And I only had the problem with that one, but there's been no problems with my other ones. You know, they've been fine. So don't worry about it. Just make sure that, you know, what I would do is when I put it on after that happened, I would rub my finger down here, and if I felt any like if it was sticking out a little bit, push back in, dude. Thanks for your question, man. This one comes from Richard. Sorry, man. Richard Galyajr, Galyajr. Sorry if I can't pronounce your name. Any advice for ADs? I want my first Rolex, want a blue Sky Dweller or a green Sky Dweller on Jubilee. Been saving for a couple years, but I guess I should have gone on the list years ago too. And I responded to that, just go to your AD. I wasn't going to put it in the Q&A. Then he responded, let me rephrase that. I've talked to 3, been being told 1 to 2 years, 2 to 4 years, and one said 8 years. So any advice? I mean, show your interest, man, and then follow up. You know, if you can't get it right away, don't just keep going to different ADs. You're getting the same, you know, it's not going to happen, you know? So, you know, I don't know if you've purchased anything, but you might want to buy something, you know, that helps. But other than that, and then you just follow up after that, you know what I mean? Don't pester them, but, you know, they're not too easy to get. They're easier to get than they were a couple of years ago, but best of luck to you. This one comes from Michael Louis 74. Beautiful watch, Tony. Congratulations. Thank you. Daytona Panda is my dream watch. How do I get it? Do I wait for my AD dealer to call me? Maybe 2 to 3 years, 5 years? No AD history. No AD history, dude. You're not going to get that watch. Plain and simple. I'm not going to blow smoke and say, yeah, well, just do this and do this and do this. You're not going to get it. You know, if you were talking about a Datejust, even a Submariner, you know what I mean? A Yachtmaster even, you know what I mean? An Explorer. I'd say go in, talk to him, build that, you know, thing that I say, a relationship, make a purchase and whatever. Not with a Daytona, dude. So I'm sorry. You on that one, you're most likely better off just having to suck it up and spend the money on the gray market. You know, so I wish I had better news for you, though. This one comes from Vehans S. Hey, dude, what's up? I know you. I recognize your avatar picture. Tony, congrats again on this beautiful piece. Thank you. Question for you. Is the white dial on the Daytona the same shade as the white dial on the Datejust? I thought Rolex only made one shade of white, but they don't. I saw a white dial Sky Dweller last year, and it was gorgeous. I don't even know how to explain it. It was kind of all frosted and a little more off-white. Also, what are your thoughts on the Sky Dweller? One of my Grail pieces, thanks. I'll start with the Sky Dweller. I loved it when it first came out, man. I thought, awesome, man. This is like a Datejust, but it's got, you know, it's their most complicated watch. And then I don't know. I lost interest in it. I think it was the way you have to use it with turning the bezel. Just click that and do that and, you know, turn it upside down, put it in the blender and add milk. And then it fucking, you know, gives you all this complications that an annual calendar should have. But it's still beautiful. I mean, if I had it, I wouldn't use any of that. You know what I mean? Still a nice looking watch and a little too big as well for me, for what I like in that style of watch, I guess. But, and then the shade of white, the white dial is different than the white dial on the previous iteration, the 115 Daytona is even different. I think that was more of a lacquered or a matte lacquered sort of, yeah, how do I say it, man? It's different, man. And they do make different shades. I just can't really express what they are, you know? So anyway, thanks for your question, man. I appreciate it. Joel Bolt 88. Great Q&A as always, and congrats again on the Daytona. My question for next week is, what concept for a watch do you wish a company would make? For me, I'm hoping a Rolex makes a Tiffany blue dial or bezel Submariner. That's pretty cool. Don't think that's ever going to happen, but if they did, I guess, you know, people would jump on that all over it. I don't know. I think in some cases you do want, you know, different dial colors. You know, like if you had a Submariner that had not just a different bezel color, you know what I mean, but a different dial, not like the Hulk. You know, I mean, it's you know, like as you said, like if they had a matte red dial with a matte red ceramic bezel, something like that. You know, I can't really think of any. There's nothing specific in my head that I'm thinking about, but I'm sure I could come up with a ton. So thanks for your question, and I appreciate it. You guys, I appreciate everyone who likes, subscribes, and likes my videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.